If your baby melts down the moment the TV turns off, it's not bad behavior. It's not your fault either. It's something happening inside their brain, and most parents never get told about it. The first 3 years of a child's life are when the brain grows faster than at any other time. During this stage, everyday experiences shape how a child learns, feels, and behaves. In this video, we'll talk about how fast-paced cartoons can quietly affect a baby's developing brain and what parents can do to support healthier development instead. You can also help another parent know about this by comment 1 below. Why the first years of life matter so much. The first 3 years of a child's life are a unique and sensitive period for brain development. During this time, the brain is growing faster than at any other stage. Scientists call this a critical window because the brain is especially responsive to everyday experiences. In these early years, a baby's brain builds connections based on what the child sees, hears, touches, and feels. Simple things like eye contact, gentle touch, listening to human voices, and playing with a caregiver all help shape how the brain develops. These interactions teach the brain how to focus, how to communicate, and how to regulate emotions. Importantly, a young child's brain is designed for slow, real-world learning. Babies learn best through repeated, predictable, and interactive experiences. When a parent talks to a baby, waits for a response, and talks back again, the brain is practicing attention, language, and social skills. This back-and-forth interaction is something screens cannot fully replace. Research in child development shows that infants and toddlers do not process information the same way older children or adults do. Their brains are still learning how to filter sounds, images, and emotions. Because of this, they can become overwhelmed more easily by intense or fast-changing sensory input. This does not mean that all screens are harmful, but it does mean that the type and pace of stimulation matter. When stimulation is too fast, too loud, or too visually intense, it may be difficult for a young brain to process calmly and meaningfully. Understanding how the brain develops in these early years helps parents make informed choices. It allows us to ask an important question: are everyday experiences supporting a child's natural learning pace or competing with it? How fast-paced cartoons can overstimulate a young brain. To understand why some modern cartoons may be challenging for young children, it helps to look at how a baby's brain responds to stimulation. Infants and toddlers are still learning how to process sights, sounds, and movement. Their brains are not yet good at filtering information, so everything comes in at once. Fast-paced cartoons often include rapid scene changes, bright flashing colors, exaggerated movements, and loud or continuous music. For an adult or an older child, this may feel exciting or entertaining, but for a very young brain, this level of stimulation can be difficult to organize and make sense of. When a baby watches something very fast and intense, the brain may release higher levels of dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical linked to attention and reward. While this can create a feeling of excitement, frequent high spikes may make calmer activities feel less interesting by comparison. This is one reason some parents notice that their child becomes fussy, restless, or upset when the screen is turned off. It is important to be clear, this does not mean a child is addicted in a clinical sense, and it does not mean parents have done something wrong. Many families use screens with good intentions, often believing the content is educational. However, research suggests that young children learn best from real-world interaction, not from fast, passive media. If this explanation feels familiar to your experience as a parent, you are not alone. Many caregivers notice these patterns before they understand why they happen. If this information resonates with you, and you want more parents to be aware of it, feel free to comment 1 below. Becoming aware of how stimulation affects a young brain is not about guilt. It is about understanding balance and making choices that support a child's natural development. Signs of overstimulation and why they matter. When a young child experiences too much fast or intense stimulation, the effects often show up in everyday behavior. These signs can be subtle at first, and many parents may not immediately connect them to screen exposure. Some common signs include increased fussiness, difficulty calming down, or strong emotional reactions when a screen is turned off. A child may seem more restless, have trouble focusing on toys or books, or move quickly from one activity to another without settling. Sleep can also be affected, as an overstimulated brain may struggle to relax at the end of the day. It is important to understand that these behaviors are not signs of a difficult child or poor parenting. From a developmental perspective, they can be signals that the nervous system is overloaded. Young children cannot explain discomfort with words, so they express it through mood, movement, and attention. Research in early childhood development shows that when stimulation is better matched to a child's developmental level, slower, calmer, and more interactive, many of these behaviors naturally improve. This supports the idea that behavior is often a form of communication, not a problem to be punished or ignored. Recognizing these signs allows parents to respond with curiosity instead of frustration. It opens the door to making small, supportive changes that help a child feel calmer, more focused, and more secure in their environment. Common characteristics of overstimulating cartoons. Rather than focusing on specific shows, it is more helpful for parents to understand the common characteristics of cartoons that may overwhelm a young child's developing brain. These patterns appear across many types of modern children's content and are often easy to recognize once you know what to look for. One key characteristic is very rapid scene changes. When images switch every 1 or 2 seconds, the brain has little time to process what it sees. Instead of following a story or understanding cause and effect, the child's attention is constantly reset. This trains the brain to expect constant novelty rather than sustained focus. Another common feature is intense visual stimulation. This includes extremely bright colors, flashing lights, quick zooms, and exaggerated movements. While visually exciting, these elements can overload a child's sensory system, especially when combined with fast pacing. Sound design also plays a major role. Many overstimulating cartoons use loud, continuous music, exaggerated sound effects, or constant talking with very little silence. Young brains need pauses to process information. When there is no quiet space, the nervous system stays in a heightened state. A final characteristic is high emotional intensity without calm resolution. Characters may display exaggerated expressions, nonstop excitement, or sudden emotional shifts. For young children who are still learning emotional regulation, this can be confusing and stressful rather than educational. It is important to note that not all animation is harmful and not all children respond the same way. However, when several of these characteristics are present at the same time, the content may be too intense for infants and toddlers. If you recognize these traits and know cartoons or channels that fit this description, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience may help other parents become more aware and make informed choices. Healthier alternatives and real-world experiences that support development. Once parents understand which types of content may be overstimulating, the next step is knowing what to choose instead. Healthier screen content for young children tends to share very different characteristics. Calmer programs usually move at a slower pace with fewer scene changes and more predictable visuals. Colors are softer, movements are gentler, and the overall rhythm allows the child's brain time to process what is happening. These shows often include simple stories, clear cause and effect sequences, and natural pauses. Importantly, they model language in a way that feels conversational rather than overwhelming, supporting early communication skills. Sound is another key difference. Healthier content typically uses softer music, calmer voices, and moments of silence. These pauses are not empty. They give the brain space to organize information and recover from stimulation. Emotional tone also matters. Content that includes calm, problem-solving, gentle emotions, and positive social interactions is easier for young children to absorb and understand. However, screens should never replace real-world experiences. The most powerful support for brain development still comes from everyday interactions. Simple activities like stacking blocks, rolling a ball back and forth, or playing with water allow children to explore cause and effect at their own pace. Reading books together, singing slow songs, and talking face-to-face help build language and emotional connection. Spending time outdoors can also be especially helpful. Natural environments provide rich sensory input without overwhelming the nervous system. Even short periods of independent play when a child feels safe and supported help build focus and confidence. Healthy development is not about removing all screens, but about balance. When calmer content is combined with rich real-world experiences, a child's brain has the best conditions to grow, adapt, and thrive. Choosing connection over stimulation. Raising a young child today is not easy. Screens are everywhere, and many are designed to look educational, helpful, or even necessary. Most parents use them with good intentions, hoping to support learning or simply get a short moment of rest. There is no blame in that. What matters most is understanding how a young child's brain grows and what it truly needs during these early years. Research continues to show that infants and toddlers learn best through real human interaction, through voices, faces, touch, and shared experiences that happen at a natural, gentle pace. Fast and intense screen content does not mean a child will be harmed immediately, and every child is different. However, when stimulation regularly exceeds what a developing nervous system can handle, it can make it harder for children to focus, regulate emotions, and feel calm in everyday life. The good news is that the brain is flexible, especially in early childhood. Small changes choosing calmer content, reducing screen time gradually, and increasing real-world play can make a meaningful difference. Many parents notice improvements in sleep, attention, and emotional balance when daily experiences better match a child's developmental needs. In the end, the most valuable support you can give a young child is not a screen but your presence. Connection, patience, and shared moments lay the foundation for learning that lasts a lifetime. If this video helped you see screen time differently, please give it a like so more parents can find it. If you're raising a baby or a toddler, consider subscribing for more evidence-based, easy-to-understand content about early childhood development. And if you know cartoons or channels that show the overstimulating patterns we talked about today, share them in the comments below. Your experience may help other parents make more informed choices. Most importantly, if this message feels meaningful to you, pass it along to another parent. Sometimes one shared video can make a real difference.